Hello, my VIPKid teachers. If you're like me, you are always striving to get that better green screen effect and make it as perfect as possible given whatever time and resources you have. So today we're going to move beyond lighting and we're going to talk about how your physical background, what you're wearing, and your digital background all play into that perfect green screen. So let's start by taking a look at what is a green screen color looking for. So if we go into our filters and into our chroma key, I've got this test one set up that we're going to play with. So I have everything turned off. So this is the green screen that I use every single day. It's actually a little brighter in person. Now what my camera sees and computer sees are a little different than what my eyes see. And that's for a very important reason. Well, two very important reasons. First, my camera. I use a built-in internal camera that's pretty good, but not as good as an external. Two, I have these really great daylight bulbs, but they make me a little washed out, so I've changed my camera to see me a little bit differently so that I look great. Unfortunately, that makes my green screen actually a little duller in color. It's a little darker of a green typically. So now let's look at our OBS settings. So if we go into this test chroma key that I've set up and I put it into the default green setting, what it's actually looking for is this really bright green right here. So it's trying to find anything that's similar to that and remove it from the background. So if we go back to our regular green and I turn this chroma key on, we're going to see that it does a pretty good job other than I'm really fuzzy. Now I can move the similarity so that it finds more and more green. But I can also just change the smoothness setting and I can get it pretty good. Now something that'll really help you out today is keep an indicator on my desk. This isn't usually seen in my VIPKid classroom, but I've left it in my videos so that you can compare what happens to other things around you. So now I'm looking pretty good. I'm a little blocky, but like I always have fuzzy hairs and they're still looking pretty good on this default setting. Now, if you've got a color green that isn't close to that chroma key green, what happens? Let's take a quick look. And we're back. Okay, now you might notice that I look pretty darn different. The only thing I've changed is my background. So what I did is I have this green screen from Amazon. It's a definite darker green. In real life, it's actually even darker green than this. Let's see if I can add a color correction. Oh, that even already looks better. Okay, so this is much closer to what the green actually looks like. Maybe even a little more like that. And that's it. That's all I've changed. So if we look now at my default no green screen settings, you can already see I'm like way more washed out. My balance is off. So this is where the color and what your camera sees makes a big difference. Now if we turn our chroma key back on, back at our default settings, I look pretty similar other than I'm really washed out because of that balance that it's trying to maintain. So why is it doing that? Why am I washed out now where I wasn't before? And this is because it's trying to take that green, figure out what it is, and balance the foreground, me, with the background of the green to remove everything. So it's actually adjusting the colors. So now that I'm back in my defaults, I can again adjust the smoothness and the background a little bit. And because this one's darker, I have a much harder time getting that right balance. Now I can go in and use a custom green and maybe get a little bit closer. I've actually had a lot of trouble with that happening. And as you can see, like it's really, really hard to get something that's as good as my other green screen. So you're probably thinking like your green screen is too dark and what do you do, and you look flushed out too, and how do you get back to that perfect green screen? So there's a few things you can do other than actually changing the green screen background. So I'm going to revert back to my original background so that we can take a look at those. We've covered lighting in another video, that's in the description below, but you can also change what you're wearing. So I've got some clothes with me. I of course do not wear this black tank top in class, but I wanted to give something that was really well contrasted off the green screen. I usually wear something along the lines of a gray t-shirt. Now I typically use light gray, but I've got a darker gray here, and if I hold this up, my camera's going to adjust and I'm still looking pretty good, right? Because it's a darker color, which helps the camera figure out what's in the background and what's in the front. So again, I've got another shirt here. This one is a nice dark purple, so it's the same thing. It's nice and dark, and so it really makes it easy to see the difference between my bright green screen and my shirt. So now if I hold up an orange shirt, watch my skin tone. It's going to change as the camera tries to figure out the difference between the bright color and the bright green background. So ready? Here we go. And there we go. And that's exactly why, no matter what color green screen background I use, I can find the perfect settings with a little adjustment and patience. But I do try to wear a consistent shirt with my VIPKid classes so that I don't go from like super bright to super dark. You can wear any color, you just need to know what you're going to wear so that you can get the settings right so that it can tell the difference between you and your background. So if you want to wear bright colors, go for it. Just adjust your settings. All right, by the grace of movie magic, we're back once again. The last thing I want to talk about is what your background, your digital background, right? The image that I have behind me of the clouds, how that affects things. If you've ever been over in this filter window and you're looking and you're like, man, I look so good. Look at it. All the green's removed. I'm not fuzzy, no fuzzy edges. And then you come over to your actual background and you're like, whoa, that's different. That's because we're seeing two different things. In our filters window, we are seeing OBS only remove the green. They don't add anything back. They've just removed the green and left us with a darker background. However, when we add in our digital background, OBS not only has to remove the green, but it has to add in the image that we've added, which can leave us looking a little different. So I always look at my main camera source when I am adjusting my settings to get it right. One really important thing to note is if you go from like one background to another background, you might look a little different, but you should look mostly the same. So here's a great example. I'm going from light to a darker background, and I really am pretty close to the same. But if you are finding in some of your props and rewards versus in your different background colors that you're having some pretty big changes on how clear you look, we probably need to look at your settings and make some more adjustments to those so that you can better switch between things. We're probably missing something in our lighting or our settings. Now I want to look at a few shirts that are similar to my green screen background and what happens. So to give you an idea of what I'm showing you, I'm going to show you with and without the chroma key. So we're going to start with a green shirt that's a pretty similar color green, but not exactly right. So once I turn my chroma key on, you can see that it becomes sort of see-through, but sort of not. So if I were wearing this shirt, right, like it appears it's a shirt, but look at how many fuzzies are getting towards the bottom. That's because my lighting isn't as even. And so as I move around, sometimes it's see-through, sometimes it's not, and it's super distracting. Now the last one I want to show you is a bright yellow. So this is like super duper bright yellow. I know it's a little bit blinding actually, because it's like the yellow that somebody would wear on the side of the road for their like safety vest. But if I turn my chroma key on and use that, look at how see-through that is. Now my green screen is pretty bright, but it's not neon, and the green screen really thinks that it's neon. So you can see here, look at the fuzzies down by my shoulder here. You can see how the green screen is trying to adapt to this yellow and instead taking away from the background. You can also see the folds that are happening in the shirt where it's coming together, and this is why we always want to make sure we have a flat green screen, because as it folds over it creates shadows, which is what's making it look all funky. I hope this has helped you better understand how your green screen works and how your background, yourself, and your OBS all come together to make something happen and can help you find those perfect correct settings. I'll see you next time.